I've thought about buying a property in Japan for a long time, and after much debate, I decided to pull the trigger. This is my journey of buying a property in Japan. When I got to Tokyo, I met a Filipino investor who just bought a property for $100,000 sight unseen. And he was willing to answer some questions I had about investing in Japan.
Like, how do you feel about this investment?
Well, I feel positive about it. Yeah. When they offered this to me, I didn't really think twice. Yeah,
Was
seems
there
okay.
any indication about it that said, yes, I'm going to buy this? Was it just the
No,
photos?
no, no.
No.
It's just that it's just the right timing, I guess.
Especially if you can get $1,000 a month here.
Right.
And
Yes.
it's I think it's $110,000.
If you can get a couple of this unit,
Right.
yeah, of the same return, yeah, why not? Yeah.
Right, you got 10 of these, like, that's
Yeah,
retirement.
yeah, right,
there.
yes.
You're probably the only Filipino that I know that's here in Japan.
No, I don't
real
think so.
estate.
I don't think so. Yeah.
But let me ask you, what do you think about the real estate market here in Japan versus the Philippines?
I think Japan is more stable, right? It doesn't really fluctuate much, right? There's less appreciation, but it's pretty stable, right? Especially the cash flow aspect of the investment, yeah.
After talking to Felix, I knew I wanted to replicate the same success he's had in Japan. So the next step was to talk to my friend Steve, who's a real estate agent in Tokyo. So I was telling Steve my goal was to buy an Akiya, a very cheap abandoned house in Tokyo. However, he had other stuff planned for me, and I was happy to take a look. Even though this isn't what I was looking for, I was extremely impressed at what this modern style Japanese house looks like. Unfortunately, it didn't line up with my goals for my property investment in Japan, and the price was a bit off. I still love the unit a lot though. This second unit had so much potential. Once I saw it, I thought it was an absolute gold mine. I took a look around the property, inspected everything, and saw that it didn't need much work. Not much renovation was needed. All it really needed was furnishing. It even had a rooftop, and that's something that really stands out as something that's unique. Because I was putting it on Airbnb, I could charge a premium by decorating the roof and making it an experience. However, despite having a lot of what I needed, this property was at risk to the city council. It might be reclaimed in the future or repurposed for something else or even demolished. So even though it had a beautiful rooftop, it just wasn't a perfect fit. At this stage, I had given up on the idea of Tokyo and decided to travel to Osaka. Now, I didn't know anyone in Osaka at all. I had no idea who I was going to meet until I contacted a property consultant named Alan. And Alan decided he was going to show us around, and he had a few listings within my budget that he thought would be a perfect fit. So that's what we did. 4 weeks had already passed, so this meeting with Alan was a really big deal and my last hope. Japan is a tough nut to crack.
Alan, can you tell us a little bit about this property?
Yeah, this property is very close to Universal Studio in downtown Osaka. It's about 60 square meters, so let's check it out, yeah?
I really appreciated Alan showing me around the first property. It ticked a lot of my boxes, but not all of them. I knew a lot of work would have to go into this to make it a viable style investment that I was looking for. So I put it on the sideline for now until he showed me around the second property. And this second property Alan showed me was exactly what I was looking for. It didn't need much work, it just needed to be furnished. It was in a pretty good area and within my budget. This was the last week of my trip in Japan, and I was so delighted just to find something that I actually wanted to buy.
Well, this place looks good. It's fully renovated. It's good to go after purchase. And from short-term perspective, if we can run Airbnb, we're looking at 25% in return every year. And if we run mid-term, we're talking about 12 to 15%. And worst case scenario, if we can run long-term, it still have 8% return. So in general, I think this should be a very good investment.
Yeah, no, I like that fact that there's zero carry costs. It's good to go as soon as we buy it.
Right.
It's just a matter of furnishing the place. There's no need of getting permits and to do any type of special renovations.
This is the last day we're staying at a capsule hotel because we couldn't find a place in the last minute, so we stayed here. And we're all pretty burned out. We're pretty exhausted and ready to go home. Budget was running low. We had our flights booked for tomorrow, but last second we finally found a home. It was a sure no-brainer. As soon as we saw it, we said we wanted to buy it. Hopefully we're gonna go to the real estate office and hopefully get this deal done some way, somehow.
So we just got done with our meeting with the real estate agents, and I'm a little bit confused about the entire process here in Japan. Usually in the US, when I purchase a property, there's a third-party escrow, a lot of contracts are signed, a lot of disclosures are being presented to you. Here, there's absolutely none of that. It's just everything seems to be on a trust basis. Trust the agent and send them deposit, and send them the payments to your real estate agent, and they will make the transaction on your behalf. That anywhere around the world would seem a little bit scammy, but in this case, in Japan, apparently this is the normal thing. Honor is really strong here, and it's apparently pretty safe in Japan to make these type of transactions. I do feel like I do have to do a bit of due diligence on my part as a foreign investor. So I will do my checks and balances. I will call other agents, I will call lawyers, I will call people who are in the know to verify a lot of this information to make sure that my transaction is safe.
At this stage, even though I was desperate to lock down this house, the process was just a bit too suspicious for me. It was just something I'd never heard of before. The culture here was so different, so I decided to put everything on pause until I figured it out.
So what I want to tell you is, like, I feel more comfortable working with another agency on this, but I still pay you your fee for helping me find this property. But I just don't feel comfortable with the process that you guys presented to me.
And he's talking about the process we're gonna do. So can I call you?
Call me back, but I would just tell him to put a stop on that because I'm not comfortable with his process.
I've never bought a house in Japan. The real estate process is a little bit different here than anywhere in the world. For example, there is no escrow process. There is no third-party escrow. So in Japan, you really have to trust the real estate company to send the money to the real estate company in your name. So that's a little bit unusual.
Just to put my mind at rest, I called my friend Steve in Tokyo. I told him the situation and he assured me that he could put the transaction through with some safeguards. And that's exactly what I did. And I was able to secure the Akiya. And I ended up working with Alan and Steve to secure the property. And I was so happy.
Okay guys, last day in Japan, we're heading back to Manila. It's been a wild ride, 6 weeks pounding the pavement, but we finally got it done. On the last minute, we were able to lock up our house. And boy, a house for less than $60,000, that's incredible. I'm pretty excited about that. I think anybody would be. So I do have to come back within the next month to close the deal, sign the contracts, and get started in renovation and setting up the property. Pretty excited to share with you guys that whole experience. But in the meantime, if you guys happen to be looking for a property in Japan, let me know. I can point you in the right direction.